scared. I signed up for Angry World History, and it was not a good choice. I'm not prepared for this. I just want my grades to survive.
Hey, I didn't see you there. I'm John Green, and this is World History Group Project. Today, we're going to be learning about all of Unit 3, because I don't have a time to make a separate one of these for each topic. And we're going to be covering, wait for it, the Mongols.
Who are the Mongols?
As per request, I'm going to be covering 3 different events: the Mongols conquering Asia, the European Crusades, and the spread of Islam. I'm also held to contract to talk about people involved with these events, such as Genghis Khan with the Mongols and Muhammad and Allah with the spread of Islam. First, we'll start off with the Mongols. They took over most of the known world at the time, and everywhere, and I mean everywhere, had Mongol influence. Places like Russia, China, Korea, Southeast Asia, Persia, India, the Middle East, and part of Eastern Europe. The Mongols went from being nomadic people to having conquered most of the known world. They also helped rebuild the Silk Road, allowed for religious freedom over conquered people, and allowed for women to wear, wait for it, pants. Yes, you heard me, pants. And that made them equal to them. Genghis Khan was raised by a single mother after his father was poisoned and killed. He then rose to become a military leader amongst his people, expanded his tribe, and became ruler of all of the Mongols. When he died, his empire was broken apart, and the respective areas took back their government and their land. Next, we have the Crusades. The Crusades were a series of 8 military expeditions led by the Europeans to try and conquer Jerusalem. The Europeans wanted to take Jerusalem back from Muslim control, and during the 11th to 13th centuries, out of these 8 expeditions, one of them was extremely weird, even to the people at the time. This crusade was called the Children's Crusade. This took place in 1212. And this is a quote from one of the sources that I found. None of the children reached the Holy Land. Many were said to have been sold into slavery, and thousands never returned at all. It's time for the open letter. A letter to all those children that marked on the expedition. I'm sorry you had to die, but you didn't have to go. Chose your own fate. Finally, the last topic I'm obliged to talk about is the major religion of Islam. It spread without even having missionaries, which most other religions did, and their god was called Allah. Allah required all of his followers to follow 5 different rules, or what they called the pillars of Islam. And there was one special person that Allah liked to talk to. His name was Muhammad, and he was known as the Prophet. Muhammad was tasked with spreading the religion, and he was the gateway between God and his followers, connecting everyone and helping them see the light. Join us never again on the World History Group Project, as this will be the one and only episode. This video was written and performed by yours truly, Ashley Knight, and directed by Tessa Holmes.
Hi, have you ever needed anything? Ever been to China or Europe? Then I have a solution for you. Come down to the Silk Road. Since the Mongols took over, it's flourished.
We're the Mongols. We're the largest land-based empire ever.
It also has luxury goods, such as silk and porcelain and tea. Hey, you want to buy something? No, get out of here. It also has religion traveling all the way around. The Buddha. He invented Buddhism in India. He meditated under a tree for a very long time, and then God spoke to him. He still does it, and he doesn't talk much. So, come down to the Silk Road. We got everything you need.
G'day, mate. I'm Ashley Knight, and welcome to American Hunter.
Crocodile Hunter, Steve Irwin. Crocodile Hunter, action man. Crocodile Hunter, take 2. Crocky, it's a croc. I'll save it if I can.
Today, we're going to be studying the wild Americas during their takeover. In 1492, Spain hired an explorer named Christopher Columbus to go find another way to India, but he didn't really get there.
If we look really hard, we might be able to spot one. Let's go.
Oh look, there's one now.
I'm Christopher Columbus.
Instead of finding India, he found the Caribbean islands. But they had never been discovered before, even though there are natives living there. But this gave way to the Columbian Exchange, named after the explorer himself. The exchange between the continents, such as sugar and potatoes and corn, also known as maize to the natives.
In the Americas, they didn't have many domestic animals. They had llamas and alpacas. That was about it. So the Europeans brought over domestic animals like pigs and horses. As I said before, there are many natives around, but the Europeans brought over a lot of diseases, and that killed off most of the natives, like smallpox and measles. During this time period, the Atlantic slave trade became the hip new thing. Get back to work, slave! Slavery was a thing before the Americas were discovered, but they gave way for a new slave trade route. And they needed slaves to work on their plantations because many of the natives died off, but specifically wanted black African men. When the Europeans arrived, all of the native tribes were scared of the big whiz Aztecs. Their leader was named Moctezuma. He was believed to be a god or a descendant of a god, and they treated him as his ruler and his king. Peasants would lay yards of fabric at his feet so that he would not touch the ground, as he was a holy being. But then the Spanish arrived, and they decided, we're probably going to have to kill these guys since everyone fears them. But they were welcomed into their homes by Moctezuma. There's Moctezuma now. The ruler, Moctezuma, of the Aztecs, welcomed the Spaniards and their leader, Captain Cortez, into his homes. But since Captain Cortez has decided to fight them, when he was welcomed into their homes, he decided that he was going to try and have a peaceful trading treaty. At the same visit, when there was a party thrown for the Spaniards and the Aztecs' home, there was an accident and a fight broke loose. During this fight, the Spaniards won as they had cannons and horses and guns, whereas the Aztecs were defenseless. As a result, most of the Aztecs that did survive were sold off into slavery and their race went extinct. During this time period, more Europeans decided to come and conquer the Americas, and they spread a new religion called Christianity. Shh, we must be quiet to see if we can spot the wild missionaries. Look, there's a wild missionary. Missionaries were special to Christianity, and they helped it spread all across Europe, to the Americas, and Africa, and in some parts of Asia. It really took off in the Americas for two reasons. One was because the natives had no overall god. Each tribe had different beliefs and different religions. And the second reason is because of missions. In 1592, the Spanish government required at least 2 priests to accompany every expedition so that Christianity could be spread further as possible.
Oh darn, there it goes.
Such a shame. That's all we could find in the wild Americas today. But join us next time as we try and see if we can spot anything new. This has been Ashley Knight on The American Hunter.
Hello, and welcome back to Marx's Ambitions.
Really, Carl, what is your point in doing this? It is what I believe as the possible outcome to capitalism's eventual fall, of course. Wait, why am I telling you this? I've said this countless times to you already. Then maybe you should stop telling me and tell someone else? Of course. Why didn't you say that sooner? Because you're too busy talking about your precious manifesto that you wrote with Engels. I swear I can recite it verbatim, from memory, due to how often you talk about it. Get out of here. Jeez, you don't have to yell. Well, what am I going to do now to spread the ideas of socialism? Hello, citizen. My name is Karl Marx. How's your day? How's capitalism work for you? Fine, I guess. What's it to you? What if I... Oh, no. I know who you are. I've heard the horror stories about you. You're that spreader of whatever it's called. Socialism. Yeah, capitalism, whatever. My point is that everyone knows about you and leaves whenever you mention your, what was it called again? It's called the Communist Manifesto. Oh yeah, it's called the Napoleonic Code. I remember now. That's not even from the same time period. What is this? Well, why don't you tell me what it's called? Gladly. The work I penned, along with my good friend Engels, is called the Communist Manifesto. I am a socialist, you see. The purpose of the manifesto is to explain why capitalism, the main method of today, will eventually be replaced by socialism. Then why isn't it called the Socialist Manifesto? Excuse me? I mean, if I wrote something similar to what you wrote, and it was about capitalism, then I'd call it the Capitalist Manifesto. If it was about agriculture, industrial work, or even religion, I'd call it the same thing. But the Bible. But no, you have to be unique and call it something different. Can I at least explain the reason as to why it's called that before you go around asking stupid questions? I don't know. Can you provide sensible logic as to why something called the Communist Manifesto is about socialism instead of, I don't know, communism? If you give me a chance to say that point, I will. Then say it, please. Gladly. The reason as to why it's called the Communist Manifesto is because communism is regarded as a more extreme form of socialism. I'm saying when, not if, capitalism is replaced, it will be due to this form of socialism. Wait, that's all? Man, we didn't have to go off like that at all. Agreed. So, can I read what you actually wrote? Read it? I'll do you one better. I'll give you the original copy. I'm going somewhere else to promote these ideas. You already said everyone else is aware of me. Why even bother in this town?
Do you suffer from poverty, lack of jobs, bad government, or land decline?
Then try war.
You've heard of them. World War I, World War II, civil and cold.
Warnings. Side effects may include population increase, population decrease, political conflicts, communism, industrialization, and death.
Welcome back to Baking History, where we make history-inspired treats each week. Today, we will be baking 3 sweet treats that each represent an important event in the 1900s. We will be making World War I bread, flourless Black Forest cake from World War II, and Great Depression carrot cookies.
World War I kick-started when the Austria-Hungary prince, Archduke Franz Ferdinand, was assassinated. This then led to the Central Powers to start a war.
You will need 1 cup Austria-Hungary, 1/4 cup Central Powers, 3/4 tablespoons of assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand, 3/4 teaspoons death, 1/8 cup Serbia, and 3 cups of the Triple Entente. In a large bowl, dissolve the sugar in warm water. Then stir in yeast. Allow proof until yeast resembles a creamy foam, about 5 minutes. Grease your bread pan. Mix salt and oil into the yeast. Mix flour in 1 cup at a time. Or guesstimate. Okay. dough for 7 minutes.
Traditionally, in World War I, they would mix it by hand, but that could take up to hours. And
This is how they used to do it in World War I. They would knead it by hand with extra flour. Oil your bowl. Place your bread into a well-oiled bowl and turn dough to coat. Cover with a damp cloth. Punch down dough. Knead for 1 minute.
and then shape into
To loaf and place into greased pan. Cover again and let rise for 30 minutes. Bake at 350 degrees for 30 to 40 minutes. Remove from oven.
Next, we will be baking a flourless black forest cake to represent World War II.
World War II involved more of the world than World War I, but each place had its own event. World War II included the Americas, which cared for war soldiers and refugees while being an ally. Japan remained silent during most of the war until they dropped atomic bombs on Pearl Harbor. After the world began to industrialize and modernize, chemical warfare began to develop and being used in war. Meanwhile, in Germany, Adolf Hitler was persecuting Jews in concentration camps in an event called the Holocaust. This led to many revolutions around the world.
You will need 15 ounces of Germany, half a cup of Japan, 4 soldiers, 1/3 cup refugees, 1/3 cup America, half a cup of chemical warfare, 1.5 teaspoons of allies, 1.5 teaspoons of Axis powers, and 1/4 teaspoons death. Finally, you will need 2 tablespoons of Jews.
I forgot the line. Hold on. Where did you get pumpkin?
You brought it.
Oh, so put it all. Line and mix all cake ingredients except the Jews together until completely smooth and combined. Fold Jews into batter.
Spread into baking pan, making sure to smooth out the top. And then bake for 35 to 40 minutes until a toothpick is clean when you stick it in.
And for the topping, you will need 1 tablespoon Holocaust, 1 1/4 cups atomic bombs, 2 tablespoons of Pearl Harbor, 2 teaspoons Hitler, and a pinch of death. While the cake is baking, combine the Holocaust with cold water in a medium non-stick pan. And stir until dissolved.
Atomic bombs, Pearl Harbor, Hitler, and a touch of death.
Set heat to medium, stirring frequently. Cook for 5 to 7 minutes until thick and gooey.
Transfer to a bowl and then refrigerate until it's cool.
Remove cake and cool for 1 hour. Remove topping from fridge. Top cake with even layer of topping. Top with revolutions and chill for 1 hour.
Lastly, for a Great Depression, carrot cookies.
The Great Depression was an event that took place in the 1900s in the Americas. The Great Depression caused the economy to plummet, which led to unemployment, poverty, and death. The Great Depression increased child labor due to the fact that family income was being decreased and families were going hungry and poor. Breadlines were also used to help the impoverished families in famine.
2 cups of industrialization, 2 teaspoons Hoovervilles, 1 teaspoon death, 1/4 teaspoon America, 1/4 teaspoon poverty, 1/4 teaspoon the rest of the world, 1/4 teaspoon unemployment, 1 teaspoon of crashed economy, a 1/2 cup FDR, a cup Hoover, a 1/4 teaspoon of national banks, 3/4 cup child labor.
Hoover was one of the U.S. presidents during the Great Depression, as well as FDR. President Hoover was blamed as the cause of the Great Depression and had slums named after him called Hoovervilles.
2 orphans, 1 cup famine, and 2 cups breadlines. Mixed together, industrialization, Hoovervilles, and spices. Mixed together
And set aside.
cream together FDR and Hoover. National banks, child labor, and orphans. Stir in famine and breadlines. Mix wet ingredients into dry ingredients. Cut it out. Oh, this is not soft enough. I'm just gonna do it anyways. Drop spoonfuls onto grease or lined tray. Bake at 350 for 12 to 15 minutes.
Whenever I see something not governed properly, and let's face it, we are not governed properly, my brilliant mind tends to start to think. And when government needs a makeover, I simply have to take over. I know exactly what we need. And even in your case, though it is very different from the rest, don't worry, I'm determined to succeed. Follow my lead, and yes, indeed, you will be communist. We're gonna be communist. We're gonna have equal rights and equal pay, and then for you to use, I'll show you what clothes to wear, how to fix your hair, everything that really happens to communist. I know about communist. You'll hang with the right cohort, you'll be good at work. The slang you've got to know. So let's start, cause we've got an awfully long way to go. Don't be offended by my frank analysis. Think of it as a government dialysis. Not all are chosen to become a pilot, leader, and advisor. There's nobody wiser, not when it comes to communist. I know about communist, and with an assist from me to be who you'll be, instead of dreaming who you were.